Hi friends, Krista here. Thanks for stopping by Books and Jams. Last month in August, I read a total of 11 books, 2 of which were graphic novels, and I just felt overall that I've had a pretty slow reading month. And here we are halfway through the month of September, and I've already read 9 books. So I'm pausing to do a little mid-month wrap up so I can tell you about the books I've already been reading, and then I don't have to remember all of these things for the end of the month. So I have 9 books here to talk about with you. 8 of them are series books. I am rocking series September. I'm doing so good. I have not yet read any of the books on my actual Flip and Roll TBR, but I have read 5 spots in the series September bingo board. So I do have a few more that I'm hoping to read before the end of the month, but I just wanted to real quick talk about the ones that I've already been reading. So at the very beginning of the month, I read one that's not actually part of a series, but this was included in my NetGalley vlog that I kind of combined August and September since I didn't really do one in August. But this is a book that came out in September, I believe, of last year or August of last year. I can't remember. This is a middle grade book by Kate Albus, who wrote A Place to Hang the Moon. And I really loved that one. It was an easy 5-star read for me. This one I gave 4 stars to. In this one, we follow a sibling group. It's during World War II, I believe. Yeah, 1940. And we follow a family that lives in the Lower East Side, I believe, in New York, in Manhattan. Right at the beginning of the book, the dad has to go off to fight in the war. The older brother is 17. Our main character, who we're following from her perspective, is 12. And then there's an 8-year-old brother as well. And so these 3 siblings kind of get left to fend for themselves while the dad goes away to war. But he's not really concerned as much. I mean, he's concerned, but he believes it's the right thing to do. His son is 17, and they live in a community that really does take care of each other. And so he knew that the people in their village, in their area, would help protect them. Things seem to be going okay until their building gets a new landlord. Their elderly landlord had passed away, and now they have a new landlord who is not thrilled that these kids are there on their own. And they kind of lied to him at the beginning, and they're a little nervous about what's going to happen. And so they kind of take matters into their own hands a little bit. It was a delightful story. I think kids would really enjoy this. We have an old dumbwaiter. We have an old abandoned hotel. We have these 3 siblings that are grieving their dad being gone, but also really being creative and imaginative about how to take care of themselves and protecting each other and standing up for each other. Our main character, Dory, is a huge fan of the Statue of Liberty and feels like a real connection to her, and has a special place where she can go and see the Statue of Liberty and kind of talk with her. It's almost like the Statue of Liberty is her therapist a little bit. And there were some scenes at the very end that were just really, really lovely and brought me to tears, of course, as Kate Albus can do. I just thought that this was a really lovely read. I just liked A Place to Hang the Moon a bit better, but I did really like this one as well, so I gave it 4 stars. Since that one was middle grade, I'll just go ahead and do the middle grade series books that I read. I finished up the duology of Coyote. This one is Coyote Lost and Found by Dan Gemeinhart. This is the sequel to The Remarkable Journey of Coyote Sunrise. I believe I talked about this in a weekend vlog, so I've already kind of shared my thoughts on this one, but in this book, Coyote discovers a box of her mom's ashes that her dad had been hiding. And in the first book and in this book, we're dealing with grief of this husband, father, and his daughter, Coyote. And the story kind of continues. This is about 6 years later after the mom has passed away. So it just, I thought it's so important because grief doesn't just go away. You don't just get through it and then you're over it. Like, it's something that impacts you for a long time coming. So we have some return characters in here. We have another road trip adventure in here. And we have some struggle as the dad starts a new friendship / relationship. And Coyote has to grapple with being in school and feeling different from everybody else. And there's just a lot of deeper issues in here, but also at the core of it is this grief of losing their mom. And now what are we going to do with these ashes? And that is the story. And I really liked this one. I know this wasn't a big hit for everybody, but it worked for me. I gave it 4 stars. Then I continued the Front Desk series with the sequel, 3 Keys by Kelly Yang. And I was really enjoying this. I do think it's an important story talking about immigration and being kind and respectful and getting to know people around you who might be different from you. I do think that Kelly Yang does have a bit of an agenda in here, but I really think these kind of conversations are important for kids to be having. I don't know if you've heard the phrase that books can be mirrors or windows, where they can reflect something about our own lives, or windows where they kind of show us the lives of others. I think this could be a good mirror book for kids who are immigrants themselves and coming into a country where that's really precarious at this point in time, but also it could be a window for other kids to step into the shoes of someone that's different from them and get a glimpse into what that kind of life and what kind of that kind of fear is like. I do not think I'm going to continue this series, but I think it's very important for kids. So I gave this one 3.5 stars. I did enjoy it, but I don't think I need to continue the rest of the series. I did appreciate in the author's note that Kelly Yang explains that some of the scenes in this book are specifically things that have happened to her as a young Chinese American girl. And I do think that that is fantastic. And I do think it's important for kids to read something like that, but I don't think I need to continue the series. So that one's coming off of my series list, but I did appreciate it. And the last middle grade book that I read is also a series finisher. So this is a trilogy, a fantasy trilogy by Jamie Littler. And in this one, we follow Ash, who is a song weaver, and in this world, song weavers are looked down upon. I can't really tell you too much about the plot of this one because it does spoil the first 2 books, but I just really, really enjoyed this adventure, this story. There's a bit of a battle in here. There's some characters that are just so much fun. He has a best friend that he made throughout the series. And what I love probably the most are the illustrations. I think Jamie Littler himself is the one who did the story and the illustrations, and the illustrations are just like, that's like the start of an early battle in the story. They're just so great. I'm trying to get ones that won't give stuff away. I mean, there's different characters that are portrayed. The illustrations are fantastic. It was a quick read because the illustrations happen on every other page or so, some full page, some partial page, and it did have a very satisfying end. So I was very glad for that. And I'm so glad that I read this series. And I'm so thankful to Lee, one of my Patreon friends, for recommending the first one to me. Journey of the Frostheart, maybe the first one. I just call it Frostheart. But yeah, lovely series. Perfect kind of middle grade adventure fantasy. Really fun. Then I did get caught up in Molly the Maid series with The Maid's Secret by Nita Prose. I don't know if there are more coming out in this series, but I really did enjoy this one very much. I'm complete with what's published at the moment by reading this one. Molly still works at the hotel she's been at in the other books in this series. They're having an event at the hotel, kind of in the same veins as Antique Roadshow, where the experts come and then people can bring their trinkets and artifacts and see if it's actually worth any money. Well, Molly has a piece that is actually worth quite a bit of money, tied to her grandmother and her grandmother's past, and she thinks it's wasn't really anything, but turns out it's worth a lot of money, but then it goes missing. And then there's like deeper layers to the story there. And we also get a glimpse through a journal into the grandmother's life quite a bit, because the grandmother passed away very early on, or off page before the first book even happens, I think. And so it was really cool to kind of have the grandmother be a character in here again as we got to learn more about her life. I really just enjoy this series so much, and I'm so glad that I'm fully caught up at the moment. I don't know if there's more coming, but I really loved that one. Another book that got me caught up in a series, and I don't know if there are going to be more, but I'm fully caught up. I read The Emma Project by Sonali Dev. I think my interest in this series has gone down with each book. I really enjoyed the first one, Pride, Prejudice, and Other Flavors. And I do enjoy this family. We follow the Raj family, and in each book, we have a different member of the family represented, and a different Jane Austen book that's kind of modernized and adapted to fit the story. And so in this one, obviously, Emma is the Jane Austen book. And this is a bit of a gender swap Emma story. We follow the brother Vansh, and he's a bit of a playboy slash wanderer. He's always off with the Peace Corps or off in other countries doing things. It seems like he doesn't ever want to settle down. He's kind of off always doing his own thing. And he is the Emma character, and he's obviously very privileged because this family is very wealthy. And then we have Nina, who shows up in the other books, and I won't tell you exactly what her role is, but friend of the family, I'll just say that. And she and Vansh, because of their jobs, and their passions, their lives and jobs kind of intersect a bit. And Nina gets the opportunity to help Vansh to see how privileged he really is, and that things kind of just get handed to him on a silver platter, and that that's not normal. It was a fun take on the Emma storyline, but I didn't care as much about this one at all. It was a little more steamy at times than I would have liked. There is a bit of a fake dating trope in here as well, which I don't normally mind, but it was just okay for me. It was just okay at the end. So 3 stars for that one. But I am glad to have one more series completely caught up on my spreadsheet. I read one book that's the start of a series. I did finish Ross Poldark by Winston Graham. This is kind of an epic town story. I in my mind, I kind of compare it to Outlander. Not because of steamy scenes whatsoever, but because of the historical nature to it. It takes place in 1783 to 1787. And because we're following quite a few different people in Cornwall, all surrounding the Poldark family and Ross Poldark in particular. I got confused as to what was going on. I couldn't follow all the characters. There's mining is a big part of the town, and then there's bad bankers, and so there's all these miners, and then there's all the family members, and then the high society, and then the downstairs, like the lower class people. Like there's all of these things going on at the same time, and I was having a hard time keeping it straight. So I decided, is quite a long series. I'm not interested really at all at continuing the book series, but I have already started the show, and I'm loving the show. I'm loving the show. So I'm going to just watch the show for now. I'm going to not go ahead with the books. I'm going to be done reading the books, and I'm just going to watch the show. And I'm okay with that. And then I have 2 more series books that I've read that continue a series, like get me closer to being caught up. I read A Trace of Poison by Colleen Cambridge. This is a Phillida Bright mystery series. The first one was Murder at Malowin Hall. And Phillida Bright is Agatha Christie's housekeeper. So there's a lot of mystery about her past, which we still don't get into in this one. I'm hoping as the series goes on, we get to know a little bit more about Phillida Bright and her past. But she's also kind of a Miss Marple character. She's very good at sleuthing and figuring things out. Of course, the constable is kind of an idiot and doesn't figure things out on his own. But in this one, there's a writers' convention for people who write. There was like a contest for a handful of people who write murder mysteries to come, and then these upper tier murder writers, Agatha Christie, Dorothy L. Sayers, who else was there? G.K. Chesterton, the members of the detection club. They're having this murder fete organized as a fundraiser. And during the fete, of course, somebody dies, and some of the people think that this is just part of the activities and that they're all supposed to figure it out. But quickly they realize that's not quite the case. And so there's this mystery there. And I think the covers of this are stunning. These books are all so beautiful. And this was just really enjoyable. I like Phillida Bright. I like her relationship with Agatha Christie. I liked how she figured everything out. And I enjoyed getting to see all of these murder mystery authors all kind of in the same place. It was a fun take on a murder mystery, and I really enjoy this series very much. And I had to read this one because the 3rd book, Murder by Invitation Only, is actually on my TBR. I think the spinner wheel brought it up or something, but that is book 3 in the series. And so I had to read book 2 first so that I can get to book 3 before the end of the month. And then the final book I'm going to talk about today is Twilight Falls by Juno Black. I just love these Shady Hollow books. They are so cozy and delightful. You have to totally suspend your belief as far as them being animals. All the characters in here are animals, but they definitely have very human characteristics. And you have to just imagine if a moose who runs a cafe is talking to a mouse. It makes sense in this story. But obviously in reality, you're like, how does that work? The moose is so huge, the mouse is so small, but it all kinds of works. So in this one, we follow Vera Vixen, who is a reporter and amateur sleuth. She has been instrumental in each book in discovering, in figuring out what happened. And she is in this one as well. The story of this one is that at Twilight Falls, which is a ferry ride away from our town of Shady Hollow, a place that a lot of people go, there's a famous falls there, Twilight Falls. It's a very big waterfall and dangerous. And She goes there with her beau, who I won't really say who that is because it kind of spoils the earlier books, but she goes there with her boyfriend, and while they are there, they see somebody go over the falls. Nobody can find, is one of the otters, I believe, and nobody can find the body. So what happened, there was like, it looked like there was a fight at the top of the falls, but nobody really saw anything clearly. So Vera Vixen is on the case to figure out what happened, and I love it. Just like I've loved all the other ones in the series. They're cozy and delightful and make me really happy. I'm so glad that I finished 9 books already. Since this is the middle of the month, I'll also tell you what I'm currently reading. I will be starting My Friends today because this is on my Flip and Roll TBR, and I'm buddy reading this. So I'm starting that before the end of the day. Today is the 14th. I'm about 118 pages into Mad Ship by Robin Hobb. I'm listening to that on audio. Why do I do this to myself? I always have so many books I'm reading at the same time. I did start The Baker's Secret on Spotify by Stephen P. Kiernan. This is one of my Flip and Roll TBR books, but I ran out of Spotify minutes. So I have to see when that renews. I think it's coming up in a couple days. So once my minutes renew, I will continue with The Baker's Secret. I'm about halfway through this one, historical fiction, on page 150. And then I also started the middle grade How to Get Away with Myrtle. This is book 2, A Young Sleuth, a lot of fun. And then I have one more book that I'm reading for a special project. So I'm not going to tell you about this one right now, but I've started that one. All in all, a much more robust start to my reading than I had last month, and I'm so here for it. I love making so much progress in so many series. It's really making me happy and making me, like, the momentum is going. Now I'm just ready to read. So that is all for me today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you for being here, and I can't wait to chat with you in the comments. How is your month going so far? Have you been reading any series books, or what has been your favorite so far this month? And if you've made it this far but don't really feel chatty or have a comment to add, go ahead and put some kind of waterfall or animal, like woodland creature, in the comments just to let me know that you were here. I really appreciate all of you for being here, and thank you for spending a few minutes of your day with me, and I look forward to chatting with you in another video very soon. Bye.